Language Foundations Vocabulary Flashcards, helping you achieve understanding.
A person who uses something or someone selfishly or unethically. A person who takes drugs. A person who makes use of a thing. Someone who uses or employs something. A person who uses something or someone selfishly or unethically. A person who takes drugs. A person who takes drugs. A person who is unusually selfish. A human being. Characteristic of or meant for a single person or thing. An individual serving. Being or characteristic of a single thing or person. Individual drops of rain. A human being. Separate and distinct from others of the same kind. Mark the individual pages. Concerning one person exclusively. We all have individual cars. A single organism. A human being. The immaterial part of a person, the actuating cause of an individual life. Deep feeling or emotion. A human being. A secular form of gospel that was a major black musical genre in the 1960s and 1970s. Soul was politically significant during the civil rights movement. The human embodiment of something. The soul of honor. A human being. There was too much for one person to do. A grammatical category used in the classification of pronouns, possessive determiners, and verb forms according to whether they indicate the speaker, the addressee, or a third party. Stop talking about yourself in the third person. A human body, usually including the clothing. A weapon was hidden on his person. Causing or capable of causing death. Mortal combat. A human being. Involving loss of divine grace or spiritual death. Subject to death. Mortal beings. Unrelenting and deadly. Mortal enemy. Someone who is so ardently devoted to something that it resembles an addiction. A golf addict. To cause, someone or oneself, to become dependent on something, especially a narcotic drug. Someone who is physiologically dependent on a substance. Abrupt deprivation of the substance produces withdrawal symptoms. Computer science. A tiny electromagnetic coil and metal pole used to write and read magnetic patterns on a disk. Be in charge of. Who is heading this project? A person who is in charge. The head of the whole operation. That which is responsible for one's thoughts, feelings, and conscious brain functions. The seat of the faculty of reason. I couldn't get his words out of my head. Be the first or leading member of a group and excel. This student heads the class. The educator who has executive authority for a school. The upper part of the human body or the front part of the body in animals contains the face and brains. He stuck his head out the window. Travel in front of. Go in advance of others. The procession was headed by John. The part in the front or nearest the viewer. He was at the head of the column. A line of text serving to indicate what the passage below it is about. The heading seemed to have little to do with the text. A V-shaped mark at one end of an arrow pointer. A difficult juncture. Matters came to a head yesterday. Forward movement. The ship made little headway against the gale. Oral stimulation of the genitals. They say he gives good head. A dense cluster of flowers or foliage. A head of cauliflower. The subject matter at issue. Under the head of minor Roman poets. Direct the course. Determine the direction of traveling. The source of water from which a stream arises. They tracked him back toward the head of the stream. A natural elevation, especially a rocky one that jets out into the sea. Grammar, the word in a grammatical constituent that plays the same grammatical role as the whole constituent. A membrane that is stretched taut over a drum. An individual person. Tickets are $5 per head. A projection out from one end. The head of the nail. A rounded compact mass. The head of a comet. A single domestic animal. 200 head of cattle. A user of, usually soft, drugs. The office was full of secret heads. Be in the front of or on top of. The list was headed by the name of the president. Form a head or come or grow to a head. The wheat headed early this year. Nautical. A toilet on board a boat or ship. Remove the head of. Head the fish. Take its rise. These rivers head from a mountain range in the Himalayas. That part of a skeletal muscle that is away from the bone that it moves. The foam or froth that accumulates at the top when you pour an effervescent liquid into a container. The beer had a large head of foam. The front of a military formation or procession. The head of the column advanced boldly. The length or height based on the size of a human or animal head. He is 2 heads taller than his little sister. The pressure exerted by a fluid. A head of steam. The rounded end of a bone that fits into a rounded cavity in another bone to form a joint. The head of the humerus. The striking part of a tool. The head of the hammer. The tip of an abscess, where the pus accumulates. The top of something. The head of the stairs. To go or travel towards. Where is she heading? Usually plural, the obverse side of a coin that usually bears the representation of a person's head. Call heads or tails. A walker or runner who trips and almost falls. A catch mechanism that acts as a switch. The pressure activates the tripper and releases the water. A tourist who is visiting sites of interest. Slang. Someone who has taken a psychedelic drug and is undergoing hallucinations. A person who wears or carries or displays something as a body covering or accessory. The wearer of the crown. A person who uses goods or services. The ultimate user for which something is intended. Someone who holds property by usufruct. Of or relating to the nature of a usufruct. Someone who puts to good use. Someone who puts to good use. Not all organisms are utilizers of oxygen.
Become our student and get access to effective and free educational materials. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to become a part of our growing YouTube community and to learn English effectively.